Good morning.
Good afternoon.
And evening. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shia.
Welcome to being here.
Yes.
Did you listen to that? Listening doesn't hurt.
Well, what's interesting is listening to what somebody has to say doesn't hurt. That's what it says. But if you resist hearing what somebody says, then what they say can be hurtful.
That is so true.
You see, that the resistance to hearing something produces a potentially painful situation. If you don't want to hear it because of whatever reason, you will hurt yourself with what's being said to prove yourself right that they were wrong for saying it.
As you are saying that, Shia, I suddenly flashed on a time pretty close to the end of my mom's life, where I was at her home, my childhood home, and she was extremely upset about a set of circumstances. I mean, the overall circumstance, my dad's dementia was...
She was upset. The circumstances...
Yes, it's true. But, she had a lot of stressors aside from anything in her life. Her health was declining. She was going blind. There were all sorts of things. She was very, very frustrated.
Yes.
And there came a moment where...
She turned that on you?
Yes, she didn't feel like I had heard her.
Yes.
And she started yelling at me, screaming at the top of her lungs, shaking, spitting. She was just so upset. And I realized in that moment, I didn't listen to her. And then she started, you sit there in that chair. And I sat down and I looked at her and I listened, and it was amazing. I really, really appreciated hearing her perspective. It had nothing to do with me and everything to do with me. Everything as in, if I didn't hear it, she was left with it. And she would have been left with that agitation. And it absolutely didn't hurt.
And your listening took away the agitation.
Yes, it was a remarkable event, because there have been moments in my life with my mom where she'd have those breaks of continuity where her upset would erupt and she would express it in a volatile way. And what was super neat was when she had expressed everything that had been bothersome to her, she said, well, okay then.
And it was over.
It was over. And then she went about her day as if we hadn't even had the conversation.
Right.
She wasn't upset with me. She wasn't upset at all. She wasn't upset at anything. She just was there.
Yes.
And what you said was so profound that it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt me. Nothing she said was hurtful.
Unless you personalize.
Because I didn't personalize and I didn't resist it.
We've done so much over the years. Like when I first met you, I was leading seminars, like communication workshops, where we did exercises to hear what another person said without personalizing it. And so there were exercises where people tried to throw us off with what they said.
Yes, I remember we did a course called the HEX course, where you get off center if somebody says something that hooks a vulnerability. So the people in the course did their best to find your vulnerability, and they would say things that were unkind on purpose to see if they could throw you off your game.
Brutally dishonest.
I would not recommend that. But it was a very interesting thing.
But if you do not personalize what people are saying, but actually hear it, rather than run it through your own internal computer where you say, oh, that's not true. It doesn't matter. If they say it, it's true from their point of view. And if you come from that, You can actually hear what somebody says without turning it on yourself to see if you did something right or wrong. You can allow yourself to hear what another person says, and that's enough to complete it for that person.
Mhm.
And if you hear it, it's over, it's complete, it's done. If you resist hearing something, well, now we have a whole nother ball of wax. Now we have the problem of you're justifying and rationalizing and trying to say, no, you don't understand me, but it doesn't matter. If you hear it, it's over. If you don't hear it, what you resist persists, grows stronger, and dominates your life. It's the first principle in instantaneous transformation.
Speaking of listening, it's entirely possible that you've shot off into examples from your own life of times you've listened or not listened, or times people have listened to you or haven't listened. You could be looking for things to agree or disagree. Listening is really about hearing something from someone else's perspective and not doing anything with it, simply hearing it.
Yes.
Let's take our first guest and we can listen to her.
Yes.
All right, Christina, welcome to being here. And please tell everybody where you're zooming in from.
Hi, this is Christina, and I'm zooming in from Bonn, Germany.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. When I read the topic, listening doesn't hurt. Actually, this topic screamed at me because it seemed like a theme for me in the past few weeks, especially at work. So I'm a special needs assistant, and we are working.
Wait a second. What is a special? See, in Germany, they may have different meanings, terminology. What does it mean, a special needs assistant? Whose special needs are you assisting with?
So I work with children in elementary school, the age elementary school, and some of them have special needs, as in they need a little more support in getting through the school day, basically, either whilst working or in social emotional behavior.
Okay.
So then how do you do that? Are you like in one classroom, or do you follow a child through different classrooms? How does it work for you? Just so I have a picture.
It's one classroom. So I'm assisting, it's a 6-year-old boy. So I'm assisting him in the classroom. And when he has a break, I'm there as well to support him.
Nice. Okay. So now that we have a picture, what's your question?
Yeah. So my question is, we are at this one elementary school where I'm working. We are about 5 or 6 in a team. We do all the same. We are special needs assistants. But with this one colleague, I find myself very challenged listening to her. I have a feeling that we don't click as personalities, and I always feel myself when very self-defending or defended.
Yes.
When she speaks to me, and it's so different when I talk to other team members, where I feel like partnering and supporting each other and feeling heard.
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
This person doesn't like herself very much. So she's going to have a hard time liking anybody, really, especially someone as lovely as you are. Because if she judges herself harshly, and I am very clear that she does, she's going to see you and resist whatever you have to say, because you're a very pretty lady. And she doesn't hold herself as that.
Plus, if she, in the privacy of her thoughts, thinks of herself as small, then what she's going to likely do with people around is try to compensate for that. And you're going to feel small when you come into proximity with her, because anything a person is hiding leaks out the side, and then the people around them experience it. If you don't personalize that you don't click in your experience, or personalized feeling small or insecure. It's an enhanced type of listening.
Now, I have
Ah,
a very strange question.
okay.
Do you know the nursery rhyme, Mary Had a Little Lamb?
No, I don't know this.
Well, you see, in this country, United States, there was this nursery rhyme that went something like Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, her lamb was sure to go. Okay?
Mhm.
Do you take any offense with that?
No.
No, it's not, because it's a nursery rhyme. See, you can hold this colleague's conversations as a nursery rhyme, and you could just listen to her.
Or do you have any like that, like row, row, row your boat, or any? Do you have a nursery rhyme from when you were a kid?
I'm pretty sure we have, but I can't think of one right now. Ooh. That's a good task.
Well, see,
Okay. We are recording this before the holidays. Do you guys have jingle bells? Jingle bells? Okay.
Yes.
Hold it
Yes.
as jingle bells. As if she's singing the song Jingle Bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun there is. I mean, you don't
and one horse open
open
sleigh.
You don't have any, you don't take offense to that.
No, I don't. That's true.
You see, words, we watch Judge Judy on television frequently because it's a show that we can watch where we can eat because it's not
You miss
critically
something.
important if you miss something, so we frequently sit around watching Judge Judy while we're eating or having coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, Judge Judy says, words can't hurt you. She said, but, like sticks and stones can break my bones, but
Words will never hurt me. It's
That's right.
Also another
childhood
poem.
What somebody says can't hurt you unless you hurt yourself with what they're saying. And I see that you do that with this colleague.
Yes, I do.
You come prepared to be.
Oh God, here she is.
She's gonna, right? What she's gonna say is gonna be a pain.
Yes, that's true.
I'll tell you something else. This colleague is doing you a favor.
She could be your best friend and you don't even realize it.
Why? She's an archetype. She's a type. This type of individual, you will always get a rise in you from until it flattens itself.
The only way it's going to flatten itself, however, is by you being willing to hear what they say and not personalize it.
But it includes if you get a rush or a physical sensation or a tightening when they speak.
Allow yourself to have that without pushing back against it. So you push back against her and she owns you.
If we go back to my original conversation about that interaction with my mom, in the early days with my mother, it was at times very contentious, where we had screaming matches when I was a younger person, and we fought. And I'm so happy that before she left this world, that flattened in me. And truthfully, I mean, maybe there are some people out there who really get my goat, or who get a rise, but I can't recall any. Speaking of women right now, somebody wrote me a nasty email the other day, and I kind of had a rise, but it was interesting for me to hear that person's perspective and just sit with it. They hated one of the blogs. They don't like any of the kitten chronicles. So they said, enough of these effing kittens. And I was kind of like, okay. And it came with a significant amount of energy. And instead of writing back, well, fine, why don't you just unsubscribe? I just was like, this person's really upset.
See, you don't see this person that you work with, this colleague of yours.
Yes.
She is upset.
She is.
And now here's the thing. There's a pecking order in life. You know what I mean by pecking order?
Like in animal world where you peck down.
Yeah. Well done. You peck down. Everybody wants somebody to peck down upon, they don't want it to be them. So if she doesn't feel very good about herself, she's going to peck on you the way she pecks on herself. Now, if you have compassion for this person, that they are hurting and that's why they're being nasty, that in itself can complete the transaction, can complete the interaction. If you just hear what they say.
I do want to mention something, though. Recently at one of our Living Made Easy seminars, and as you know, because you come, they're 2-hour events, there was a teacher who came and she was having difficulty with a child who was coming to volunteer in her room and he was acting out. So instead of being an asset, he was a challenge for her. And she was debating how to deal with this disruption. And Shaya said 2 things to her. One was, what does this disruption save you from? Like being preoccupied with that may have
a value.
Like, I don't know how to do the next project or something in her home life. Setting that aside, he said to this young lady, forget him. You have the expectation he's going to show up that way again. What if it's over now? And I spoke to her yesterday because we were working on a project together. And she told me, I'm a little embarrassed because I went in and it was like that had never happened. He was totally fine. And I told her not to be embarrassed. She's just representing instantaneous transformation. Your history with this other support person and your expectation can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can actually inadvertently require her to be that way with you because you have an expectation of it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Nice.
Wow.
So, if anything, just forget her. See what happens. See who you are. See who she is next time you get together.
But don't work on it between now and then. And when you see who's there, you may indeed see who is there and not have to have a visceral response to this person, but have some compassion for their being them.
Yeah.
Aren't you lucky you're not her?
Yes.
You know, one other thing about this time frame with my mom when she was so frustrated in herself, in her life, I started to become aware. Of course, I couldn't catch them all, but things I might do that would trigger that response in her, and I didn't have to do it. So, and to take care of her to the best of my ability before she got agitated. So there's also the possibility, because this individual has not been a click personally with you, that you don't proactively look at doing nice things, being kind, saying, hey, your hair looks great today, not as a manipulation, but if you have that experience, like there's not you don't take care of her because you've previously found her annoying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Mm.
Now, I just want to circle back to what Shai said. I find him so exquisitely brilliant. Leave it alone. Don't prepare. You could go, now I'm going to look and see what I can say that's kind and be nice. You can make a strategy.
A declaration for the future, but that's all change. See, transformation is realizing that your life keeps showing up newly in each moment if you allow it. But if you drag the history into the current moment, then you recreate the history all over again that you say you don't want.
Yeah.
So it could be said that you're responsible for how she shows up. Not to put any pressure on you, but if you expect her to be a brat, she probably will be. And if you allow her to show up as she does and see who's there, you might be pleasantly surprised.
Mm.
See, it's all you anyway, so why not?
Yeah. One last thing, because it just may as well, you never know who's listening to this and who it may support. We're consulting some clients who work for the Department of Education in New York State. And we were speaking to one of these individuals today, and they'd had some disruptions in the campus. It's not just their school. There's 4 or 5 schools in that one campus, and some of the other schools, kids were doing things like pulling fire alarms, acting out. And this individual was talking about how they finally discovered how not to be agitated when it happened. It just happened, and they're, being agitated didn't help. And Shai said to, I'll make it a her. Shai said to her, what does having these campus-wide disruptions save you from? And it was a very interesting thing that over the course of the hour we spent with her, she came up with certain things that were confronting in her job that this disruption had her not have to face. So it's also possible, I just want to circle back around to that idea that I'll bet you there are days that this individual is not irritating to you, and you may want to look and see when you get irritated with her.
What's going on with you rather than what's going on with her?
If she's saving you from something.
Yeah.
Cool.
It resonates.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, you guys.
Thanks
You're
so
welcome.
much for being a guest here today. Really a treat being with you.
Yes.
Same.
Alrighty then. Drum roll, please. You sound like our cat. It's time for our listener feedback spotlight while Shai is here purring with me. We get to hear from one of our listeners
about how transformation has impacted their lives. And if you'd like to learn more or register for any of our upcoming courses, visit transformationmadeeasy.com.
Yeah.
And when I say easy, it's like the fire swamp.
Yeah, join us.
If you know your way through it, it's easy. If you have a good guide, it's easy. If you don't, well, there's rodents of unusual size. There's lightning sand.
all those
thing?
I don't remember.
Oh, and the fire spurts. Right.
There you
go.
We're great
Transformation made easy.com.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from Rosengarten, which is in Germany, a little south of Hamburg. And I just love transformation, like attending the seminars, the Zoom seminars, or the weekend seminars, listening to the podcast. And I really do love the videos in the Premium Excellence Club. And I recently started a new health program, which I had to cut out sugar, like really everything, sugar, pasta, rice, everything that is supposed to be any kind of sugar. And instead of being challenging, which I expected, with transformation, I looked at it and I was like, I chose this. I might as well just do it 100%. And it became fun instead of being difficult. So transformation is just awesome.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shire's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Well, when you're listening to this, if you're listening as it is released, we are in Costa Rica, but we will be back next week, Monday, for the Living Made Easy seminar. The next Living Made Easy seminar after that will be Saturday, February 11th. And just want to give everybody a heads up, we're having 2 special magical relationships events.
On the same day.
They're both happening on Monday, February 13th. We're doing one for our European community. It on the Eastern time zone. It goes from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. But for those in Europe, which we normally do on Tuesday nights, we're doing it on Monday. It's from 7:30 to 9:30. And then we're doing one for the people in the U.S. That is going to be at our regular time, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You are invited. The theme is magical relationships. You can go to our website and find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com. Then weekend seminar in person is going to be Being Alive.
That's March 24th, 25th, and 26th. It's a residential retreat here in New Jersey at a place called Camp Tecumseh.
Yeah, sleepaway camp for big kids. You're invited.
Mm-hmm.
Our next virtual seminar is in April. Step into Your Brilliance, April 22nd and 23rd. So you can find out more about any and all at transformationmadeeasy.com. All right, let's take our next guest.
Yes, let's.
Miss Rashmi, welcome to being here. Please tell people where you're zooming in from.
I'm in Sarasota, Florida.
Nice to see you, Rashmi.
It's nice to be here. I was in New Jersey for a couple weeks visiting my family. I definitely find that disagreeing with people cuts off listening, and I'm learning that now as I formulate my question. I had a disagreement with my mom over some places where she wanted me to go, like to my aunt's house and shopping. And then she spoke to me about it later. Well, I told her, well, I can't always go because I have other things to do. And then she spoke to me about it later. And one of the conversation is, I just want you to come with us. And also, what about all the good things I do for you? And it's true. And at that time, I wasn't listening. And then another thing that's going on right now is my father, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer 2 years ago. And right now it's gotten worse and they're checking to see if it spread. And my mom had mentioned that she was really worried and she doesn't know what to do. And I didn't want to hear that because I was already disagreeing about something else, and how she wanted me to come back in a few months to see how it's going. And we're still waiting to see what all the tests are. So I felt like I didn't want to listen to her, and she was a bit scared about what was happening with my father.
Look, let's start with the first thing that you said, which I found very interesting. See, Rashmi, are you willing to have great relationships in your life?
I would like that.
You would like that. Good. That's the first question. Because, see, you're fighting with your mom. I could tell that in the first few words out of your mouth. Like, what she has to say is always difficult for you. You bristle when she tries to tell you things. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Good. Then we can get somewhere here. Because, see, if you want to disagree, you're not listening. Listening isn't agreeing or disagreeing. It's allowing what is being said to be said and hearing it from the point of view of the person who's speaking. The thing is this. Your primary relationship in life was your mother. You know? And if you can't listen to her, you're not going to listen to many people. So
it's been interesting today. You know, there's a gap between you and real time. You're thinking. So as we were giving instructions today, everybody was nodding except for you. You're clearly thinking.
And even now, as we speak to you, there's a gap where you're going through the words and having a conversation with yourself about what we're talking about.
So let's talk about your approach to this trip to New Jersey. It sounds as if while visiting your family in your childhood home, perhaps, but at least
in the state that your family lives,
you came as a child. You did not come as an adult to support the people who you were going to visit. It really didn't matter if your aunt wanted to see you or if your mom needed support. Your posture from what you related was not as an adult who was there to take care of these other adults who might be vulnerable right now. You were there with the expectation that she should take care of you.
Right, I see that.
And that, you know, there comes a point, and I know you were listening as I was speaking earlier with Christina about or even before she came on with Shaya, about my mom being very upset that I could either be there as a kid and have a temper tantrum that she was talking to me that way, or realize that my purpose being there was to make her load lighter.
Right.
And if you had things that you needed to do, for instance, for work remotely, you didn't let her know upfront, hey, I'm going to need 3 hours a day to sign into work. I'm going to try and work around everything we want to do. But nothing was about her. It's all about Rashmi.
Right. And I feel like I take for granted all the stuff that she does for me, which you said.
What has done for you?
You have done
that. Okay.
You see, it's like children are very interesting. They think they deserve to be taken care of, even when they get old. You know, it's not like they need to be full people. They're children. They could be 50 years old and they'll still be a child because they forget that their parents kept them alive, fed them, clothed them, sheltered them, had their immunizations so they survived diseases, all of it. Yet you expect them to be a certain way rather than discover how to listen to what they say without resisting it and without thinking it means something bad or good.
I actually think, Rashmi, though, you're demonstrating what we talked to Christina about, what does having conflict or stress with your mom save you from? And it's pretty obvious, at least one big ticket item is that your dad's health he may have cancer that is spread. So while you're in the midst of the possibility that your dad's life may be ending sooner rather than later, it's if you can pick a fight with your mom,
You don't have to experience the
potential loss
right.
for both of you. Now, it's not relevant what she does with you. It's really relevant what you're requesting from her, which is to be demanding or any of the habitual things you've done in the past so that you don't have to worry about your dad.
Yeah, I am worried right now.
But darling, what does worry do for them, you, or him?
Nothing. It doesn't help.
All it is a request that they take care of you rather than, and they don't have the bandwidth to do that likely.
Right. Yeah, I realize I could be more supportive.
No,
that's
You see,
changed.
you can't be more supportive than you've been. Now, in the future, you might be more supportive. But right up until now, you could have only been the way you were in any previous moment. So you couldn't have been any more supportive for your mom than you were on this trip to New Jersey.
I do want to put in a
caveat,
a word for our Living Made Easy seminars, which are not particularly expensive, and they're a 2-hour bite of time. We do them in general twice a week. And then, of course, we have the weekend seminars, both in person and virtually now. I have found, Rashmi, that the people who attend the Living Made Easy seminars, at the very least, with more regularity, find a consistency of being able to listen, to be centered within the stresses of aging parents, of illness of loved ones or of themselves. It's been a while since we've seen you. And I just see that you haven't been able to hold your well-being as easily as at other times when you have come with some consistency. So I'm just suggesting it not only for you, but there are lots of listeners here. And I'm just recommending it. It's not a have to, but it's a resource that you can take advantage of should you wish.
Thank you. I found that when I've come to the Living Made Easy more regularly, I found I've been well in myself. Not that I found that they've definitely helped. So
yeah, there's a consistency of being present in your life rather than lost in your thoughts about how you should have or could have done your life.
Or how you should be or could be. Everybody gets knocked off balance, but there's the possibility that you can come back to center a lot easier. It's if you have a momentum of well-being.
Okay, I'll sign up for the next seminar.
Well, this was not to get you to sign up for the next seminar, but we'd love to see you. It's really about how do you maintain well-being in a world that is populated primarily with upset people. Going from one upset into another upset. And if you have to navigate that world, it's really useful for you to be centered in yourself and present in your life moment to moment, rather than being reactivated by the circumstances that we all live in.
And that's part of why we pick different themes for the weekend seminars, that the next two are about being alive and step into your brilliance, they're all opportunities for us to come forward into our lives rather than think about how to do it. And again, I'm not saying that anything's wrong if you don't come to anything, but I know that when people get a little off center or a lot off center, or they're being hard on themselves, or they're lost in a thought process of how do I handle this, they often forget that those resources are available. And actually, signing up for something is usually the most challenging step, because whether or not you think you're worth it, just the whole conversation one has that diminishes oneself has to be set aside in order to invest in yourself in any way.
Okay, I will look. I'm still feeling a little lost. Not, I don't know why. Like I was supposed to feel.
I have a really weird question. I'm going to ask it anyway, even though I think I
know the answer.
I'm not sure. Are you using any kind of drugs, as in prescribed psychotropic drugs, to have you feel easier or better in yourself?
I have been in between like psychiatrists, so but I do have some medication.
So are you saying you do have some medication?
Yes, I do, but I haven't taken them regularly because I've
then
not gone.
My senses are absolutely accurate, because I can see that in the way you're responding to this conversation.
And thank you for being honest. I also see in just your whole facial set, not saying that we should interfere with anything with you and your medical professional, but sometimes those particular drugs create a gap between you and the experience of life. It's almost like it slows things down as it's coming in, and you may need that, but for certain it does make it more challenging.
Rashmi, darling, I've known you for many years, and that's why I asked the question, because you are different in the way you're listening and the way you're being. You seem to me to be behind a baffle or a batting. There's like cotton between you and me, rather than the Rashmi I've seen over the years.
Who's vibrant and alive.
And responsive to questions, because we say things and there's a gap between when I say something or when Ariel says something and your response.
Okay. I always thought like I could catch up on that. I don't know if this makes sense or, but I just, when you said that, I got a little bit more, I'm not going to say the word fully alive, but I got more aware.
Yes,
you did.
Yes.
You
I poked you a little bit, my dear, and you responded.
You're coming a little more in real time now.
That's right.
Okay. I feel like sometimes I don't want to be like foggy.
Yeah, but sweetie pie, I can tell you this. Those medications that doctors prescribe have other side effects. They create a distance between you and the current moment of your life. And your aliveness lives in the current moment of your life, not in your thoughts about the current moment. And so I do not personally recommend the use of drugs, because I see them as a barrier between people and the current moment of those people's lives.
That being said, if you are under a physician or a psychiatrist care, it's really important, if you choose to move away from them, that you do so under their supervision, because you just need to make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Okay, thank you. I what was happening is I went from a different state to another state, so a lot of the doctors couldn't work in the same state. So, but
So
are
you saying
that's
that
something
you're
that happened.
operating on an old prescription and you're kind of self-medicating now?
I was kind of thinking, well, do I need to find somebody else, or like it was like, do I really need this? But I'm going to talk to my primary doctor. So yeah, I didn't jump into getting a new doctor right away. So that was
Well, if you're taking a medication that was prescribed to you a while ago, it may not be appropriate for you now. So, look, if I could tell, Rashmi, darling, if I could tell that you've been using medications just in our interaction here, then it may be something that you want to address, because it may not be supporting you in your aliveness, in your sense of well-being.
And in your ability to, in this case, what you're describing, be able to be proactive with your parents.
There you go.
Yeah, because they're coming here in a few weeks, and I just had a thought, like, they're my guest. I want to take care of them.
Well,
whereas
good.
if I wasn't on this call, I probably wouldn't have thought that.
Well, sweet. You can use that as a
motivator
to handle this and take care of it, so that you're
more there for them.
Mm-hmm. Which will, by the way, at the same time, have you be more there for yourself.
Right. I think it'll be good. And it's going to be my dad's 75th birthday. So
yeah, you want to be there for it. You don't know how many more he has. We don't, any of us know how many more we have, but sometimes when somebody has a health challenge like that, it is more obvious that he's more toward the end of life than beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hey, thank you.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing with the experiences with your mom, because it was really helpful.
Yeah, thank you. You're very welcome. And I really appreciate that you looked and answered honestly when I asked you that question, because you're not the only person who's battled feeling however you feel, whether it's overwhelmed or and go the route of taking medications to be supportive. And there may be a way that is going to be better for you, easier for you. But I appreciate you allowing us to have the conversation about it, whatever you choose in the future. It's just really lovely that you're willing to be honest and in such a public way. Wow. Awesome. See, you're already taking care of people.
Oh, and thank you too.
You're welcome. Well, that was lovely. You know, one of the things I love about this podcast, it goes directions I never, ever, ever expect.
Well, that's because we're here watching it unfold.
Yeah. And if you enjoyed this podcast, share it or leave a review on your favorite podcast app. I mean, you don't have to do either of those things, but if you feel to, please do. It's really quite lovely to see how people share this possibility with other people. We recently got an email from a woman whose daughter found one of our books in her local library in Saskatchewan, Canada. And her mom, this woman, Ray, hi Tia, shout out to you. Ray says she listens to the podcast virtually every day. How awesome that Tia shared this with her mom. So just saying,
let people know
what's possible.
Transformation is a possibility, a very real possibility, not a hopeful pie in the sky possibility.
Next week's episode.
What you resist
Persist. We'll be back next week. So come on back.
And don't miss
Being here.